after our deliverance to explode into twittering laughter and caper-cutting, and utterly to forget the imminent hawk on the bough. Lie low, rather, lie low, for you are in the hands of a living God. In the book of Job, for example, the impotence of man and the omnipotence of God is the exclusive burden of its author's mind. Quote, "It is as high as heaven, what canst thou do? Deeper than hell, what canst thou know?" Close quote. There is an astringent relish about the truth of this conviction which some men can feel, and which for them is as near an approach as can be made to the feeling of religious joy. Quote, "In Job," says that coldly truthful writer, the author of Mark Rutherford, "God reminds us that man is not the measure of his creation. The world is immense, constructed on no plan or theory which the intellect of man can grasp. It is transcendent everywhere. This is the burden of every verse, and is the secret, if there be one, of the poem. Sufficient or insufficient, there is nothing more. God is great, we know not his ways. He takes from us all we have, but yet, if we possess our souls in patience, we may pass the valley of the shadow and come out in sunlight again. We may, or we may not. What more have we to say now than God said from the whirlwind over 2,500 years ago?" Close quote. If we turn to the sanguine onlooker, on the other hand, we find that deliverance is felt as incomplete unless the burden be altogether overcome and the danger forgotten. Such onlookers give us definitions that seem to the somber minds of whom we have just been speaking to leave out all the solemnity that makes religious peace so different from merely animal joys. In the opinion of some writers, an attitude might be called religious, though no touch were left in it of sacrifice or submission, no tendency to flexion, no bowing of the head. Any habitual and regulated admiration, says Professor J.R. Seeley, is worthy to be called a religion. And accordingly, he thinks that our music, our science, and our so-called civilization, as these things are now organized and admirably believed in, form the more genuine religions of our time. Certainly, the unhesitating and unreasoning way in which we feel that we must inflict our civilization upon lower races by means of Hotchkiss guns, etc., reminds one of nothing so much as of the early spirit of Islam spreading its religion by the sword. In my last lecture, I quoted to you the ultra-radical opinion of Mr. Havelock Ellis that laughter of any sort may be considered a religious exercise, for it bears witness to the soul's emancipation. I quoted this opinion in order to deny its adequacy, but we must now settle our scores more carefully with this whole optimistic way of thinking. It is far too complex to be decided offhand. I propose accordingly that we make of religious optimism the theme of the next two lectures. End of Lecture 3.